All right, so today, I think is going to be one of our most intriguing topics. I have some special guests today here on the Proxy podcast, and I think this is a conversation that we all need in our community. Not just in our community, but across the world. But today, I think I want to focus on our community solely. So I have two brothers that have actually taken the time out of their day to come to speak to us about this conversation or about this topic. So brothers, go ahead and introduce yourselves, and we're going to jump right into it, man.
Okay. My name is Jared Washington. Originally from New Jersey, living in Atlanta now. I have my master's in clinical mental health counseling, so I pretty much work as a mental health therapist. Worked at multiple different hospitals, and yeah, okay. That's me.
Okay.
My name is Kyle Waters, coming from Michigan. Got my bachelor's in psychology. Probably since 2009, I've been working mental health, behavioral health, in and out of hospitals, casework, all that.
Okay. All right. Like I said, I appreciate y'all coming through, man, and doing this. It's nothing like seeing some black brothers that's working and giving back to the community.
Yeah.
So starting off, man, I mean, I've seen conversations, and it's been growing a little bit more in regards to mental health.
Yeah.
I'm seeing, I think I can say eye-opening amongst the people, but I think there's still a stigma, right, in our community in regards to mental health. So what have you guys seen? And since you've been working in mental health, if you don't mind giving just a bit of your experience.
Okay. Just a little experience. What I've seen is I'm starting to see more black people come into, or I don't want to say come into, but starting to address mental health. But like you said, it still does have that stigma. It still is taboo. It still is like, oh, if you have things going on with you, pray it away, go to church and do things like that or whatever, rather than go see a mental health counselor, because like we may look at that as, oh, well, he's crazy or she's crazy. Something's wrong with them. And we don't, as human beings, we don't want to ever be looked at as something is wrong with us or something like we're crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
I mean, definitely to go along with that, a lot of it is generational.
Okay.
So what, things that happen in the family,
Stay in the family.
Stayed in the family. And in the greater community, the black community as a family, what goes in as one, like we keep in the family. So it's not really something that's talked about, not really. We don't want to be seen as, we go through so much on a daily basis, and we're seen as, so strong and resilient that having those issues is something that we just don't talk about. We don't want to, I guess be seen as weak.
Right. So does that go back, that strong resilience? Does that go back to slavery? Does that have some type of connection as far as like generational? So I guess we got through slavery, and we got to a point where, all right, you can't show anyone that you're weak. Is there some type of connection with that as far as like showing weakness? Or
I think you touched on that's a loaded question, right? When you talk about slavery, because when you talk about slavery, and this is something that I wanted to really talk about when we talked about doing this, this segment, generational trauma and things like that, right? So
that's where I was going with it.
So you already know, you picked up on that quick, you know what I'm saying? But like generational trauma or whatever, if you just think about trauma, period, like PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder, like if you just look at that period, like someone can experience experience a traumatic event one time in their life, right? And that can affect them, or it can impact how they behave. It can impact how they interact with other individuals. Like, it can impact them in so many different ways in their life off of just one traumatic event. And a traumatic event could be anything for somebody.
Right.
A traumatic event could just be sitting here and somebody starts shooting. You see somebody die.
Right, yeah.
A traumatic event could be you see a tornado. Like, you know, a traumatic event could be anybody. I mean, it could be anything: physical abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse. And I say all that to say, all of that happened outside of the tornado. All of that happened during slavery. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And certain mental health illnesses can be passed down through the womb.
Okay.
Like, if you think about like depression and things like that,
Okay.
that can be passed down through the womb. So if you have generations of, if you have generations of individuals, human beings, specifically Africans in America, being pretty much brutalized, sexually abused, mentally abused, emotional abused, physical abuse, just dealing with all of that, you're going to see slavery didn't just end and then all of a sudden we're just not dealing with that anymore.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're still dealing with that today. We're still seeing the effects of that today. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So is there a connection? I believe from slavery to now, I think there is a connection. In terms of, is there a connection in terms of, like, you know, you have to be strong and things like that? I think that can come from slavery, but I think it also comes from, it's funny because we were just talking about, you know, hip hop and stuff, but I think it comes from like the music we listen to, it comes from the movies we watch, it comes from what our family members tell us, because you also have to think about that trust factor as well. If you think about Tuskegee, what happened with Tuskegee University, right? You think about that, and that's why you see a lot of Black people don't like going to doctors.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
okay, so
how should we trust? Why should I trust a therapist? Why should I trust this individual to talk to me about the things I'm going through or whatever? Like, they don't even know me. My mother and my father told me to keep this in my family. They told me our business is our business. Like, why should I trust you to help me with what I'm going through? Plus, the things that I'm going through, I should be able, as a man, just speaking from a man's perspective, I should be able to, as a man, to be able to handle all of that. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And then for the Black female, they're expected to be strong as well. Like, you get what I'm saying? It's like a double-edged sword. Like, you know what I'm saying? And no one really wants to sit down. I'm all far from the mic. No one wants to sit down and really address, you know, this generational trauma. You get what I'm saying? No one really wants to act like it exists.
Why is that?
Well, if you ask me, why is it? Because then I think certain people are faced to confront this debacle that happened in America. You know, then you're faced to confront that. You know, a lot of people don't want to confront that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
One thing I wanted to go back on when he said
that's fine. Yeah.
about slavery didn't just end and it was all good. You know, we went through hundreds of years of more stuff, but in that, it's like if you think about it, when like soldiers come back from war, when police officers have an incident or something like that, they get some type of, you know, debriefing. And, you know, whatever, to kind of go through what just happened and work it out. We never got that. We were always told to get over it. So it's like,
I mean, we're still being told that.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, to this day, we're being told, just get over it. And why are you talking about race? Why are you talking about this? Blah, blah, blah. And it's definitely something that we've never been able to address as a people and work through. So that definitely has a lot to do with it.
I mean, so is that a reason for like the health issues that a lot of Black men and women come across when they get older? Does that have to do with something with mental illness, as far as like the stress? Does that have to do with any physical ailments?
I mean, definitely, your mental definitely has a part in your physical.
Okay.
Like, so, you know, being depressed, that will cause physical changes in you.
Okay.
You know, you'll feel sick, you won't eat, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, I think a lot of it also has to do with, you know, which is another part, I think, is our diet. The way that we've been kind of conditioned to eat since slavery.
Right.
The scraps, what was given to us as scraps, what we made into quote unquote soul food, like delicacies.
yeah.
So, but that's not really, I mean, even though we put our essence, our magic into it, it still wasn't what we as people, our ancestors really ate, how we really ate. And that changes over time, that generational, over time, that changes our hormones, our makeup, our DNA, to where, you say that, oh, Big Mama had diabetes, so, I may have diabetes and my kids may have diabetes. No, this is what we eat. We eat, all this saturated fat and meat and all the just crazy stuff.
Right, yeah.
As we think it's soul food, we have the barbecue, cookout, and everything like that, and it's good. I used to partake in it too.
Yeah.
But over time, it changes you, and it does cause, with that hormonal change, that can cause some mental issues.
So, just give us just a bit of your experience as far as working with. You guys work with all types of youth. Do you work with strictly black youth, or?
No. I worked with the whole gamut.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So just give us a bit of experience of how it was, or how is it working with someone that's dealing with mental issues.
Just period, or just
period. Let's go with
period?
Yeah.
Working with somebody dealing with mental issues, it can be challenging at times. You know what I'm saying? It could be extremely challenging. It can be rewarding as well. But just to hit your question more thoroughly, it just depends on what they're dealing with as well. You get what I'm saying? Like working with somebody that's bipolar can be completely different than working with somebody that's schizophrenic, or working with somebody who's just dealing with major depressive disorder, or working with somebody who's dealing with anxiety. So it could be different. So you have to know how to tailor, or how to use the different theories that you learned in college or in your master's program. You got to learn how to use those different theories to, I don't want to say cater, but to pretty much just cater to what that individual is dealing with. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
But it could be challenging. It can be challenging. You know what I'm saying? Because you could work with individuals who are like defensive, or may feel like their mental health illness isn't a problem.
Right,
Because especially when you're working in hospitals, a lot of individuals that come to the hospital are usually there on a 1013, which is a 1013 is meaning you got an individual like myself, a professional like myself, or a professional like a doctor or a social worker who signs a piece of paper that involuntarily commits you into a hospital. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so once you get that 1013, a lot of people, or not a lot, I don't want to say a lot of people, but you'll find individuals that are like, I don't think I need to be here. Like my mental illness, or I don't even have a mental illness.
Right,
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My family put me here. That person put me here. You know what I'm saying? So when you're working with individuals like that, it can be challenging. But when you're working with individuals who know they have a mental illness, know how it impacts their lives, know that they want to get help, that's when that's when it's the most rewarding. That's when it's like, okay, cool. Like, that's the population I particularly like working with, like individuals who are more highly functional, know that they want the help, know what the mental illness is, because that's important. A lot of people don't know what their mental illness is.
Right, yeah.
These doctors are slapping mental diagnoses on individuals, and they don't really have the education behind it. Like they're like, hey, I don't, they say I'm schizophrenic. All I know is I hear voices. I don't know what else comes with that.
Right, yeah.
You get what I'm saying? I don't know what med. I just know the doctor put me on Risperdal. I don't even know what Risperdal really is or what it does for me. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. Like you said, it's definitely challenging. It's definitely a burnout factor. A lot of, I won't say a lot, but I mean, it's definitely those who go into the mental health field with the best intentions to helping people. And then, it's just like teaching, where you go in but you're not really getting paid for the service that you're giving. And you're giving it, and it's more than just, you're giving yourself to these people a lot of the time. Like if you're really in it to help people and help, get them better, you really have to give yourself and relate to these people. And so, because a lot of people, they're not gonna take your help if, you know, you're just there for a check, or you don't really know what's going on. So you definitely have to be able to relate to people, and find some type of commonality.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, and that takes a lot. If you're not able to compartmentalize, if you're not able to leave work at work, like, it can really take a toll on you. And I mean, that's happened to me a couple times where I've stepped away from the mental health and just gone and did other things, because you know, there is like a revolving door in hospitals where you see patients over and over and over, and it's just like, what am I doing? Like, I'm not helping anybody. And then there's that one that's like, dang, I did it. You know, I helped this person. So it's challenging. It's very challenging.
So what as a black man growing up, I agree with you all, and I'm pretty sure everybody at the table agrees that we were always told to stay strong, right? To hold it in, don't cry, don't let it out, and I think it gets to a point where it's overwhelming, right? At some point, and a lot of black men put it out differently. So what I noticed is, I lost my train of thought. but what I was saying was, so it got to a point where I always fought back, right? Well, I always just kind of pushed it to the side, and it kind of got to a point where I hit one dark place, and I didn't feel nothing. Like, I just felt like everything was collapsing around me. Yeah. And even when I went to see the psychiatrist, I was in the military for 8 years.
Okay.
I didn't feel a connection. Yeah. As far as, like, because what they tried to do was, he was like, here, I'm going to give you these drugs. Yeah. Is that just normal, as far as just giving somebody, an individual, drugs just to try to cope with it? I mean, there has to be some other way, right?
Therapy.
Right. Okay.
Therapy with medication, evidence is evidence-based, is evidence found that that's the key to pretty much the key to success when it comes to mental health. Yeah. Not just medication, not just therapy, depending on what the diagnosis is, you know, and the severity. So it depends on that. So it's usually a combination of both. It's not just either or. You get what I'm saying? Right. And so, like, because like you said, like, we, you know, as men, as black men, you know, we are told to be strong, and then we just push that stuff to the side. You know what I'm saying? And like, you know, it's like, we're not taught to be vulnerable. You get what I'm saying? And like, you know, that vulnerability, you know, I'm just thinking back, like, as you like talking, I'm just thinking back, like, yo, I couldn't even like picture myself crying in front of one of my boys back in the day.
Yeah, I don't think it happened till I was like older in the military. Probably it was like my first time. Yeah. It's a rare occurrence that you even see, because as soon as somebody cries, what happens at school? We call them weak. We call them a baby or whatever. We bully them or whatever. So Exactly. But you got to think about it. Like, when we're pushing that stuff down, we're pushing that stuff to the side. That stuff is not going anywhere. It's still there. Exactly. You get what I'm saying? It's kind of like I always give this analogy when I'm in like sessions. Well, when I was in sessions with clients and things like that, you know, it's like shaking up a soda bottle or whatever. You know, one day you keep stuffing that stuff down. One day you're going to explode. It's just like opening up that soda bottle after you just shook it up. You're going to explode. But if you take some time out and do some like self-care, or take some time out and actually express yourself, talk to people, talk to a therapist, talk to family members, talk to friends, or just talk to somebody. It's like shaking that bottle up, but just slowly opening it. You get what I'm saying? And you slowly open that bottle, it's not going to explode. It just, you just get that little, you know, whatever the scientific word for it is. I like that analogy, man. I love it.
But yeah, that's what it is.
I mean, that whole aspect of being a man, you know, it's a lot of it, and it's a good thing that a lot of it's coming to a point now to where we can kind of identify that and be like, you know, men do need to be taught how to be sensitive, how to deal with their emotions, to show emotion. Which, I mean, as a group, yeah, you're right. we weren't taught that on how to show our emotions, and even as men to like be there for one each other.
Yeah.
Like we're there, but
Right.
it's like, you know,
Yeah.
like in silence.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not really like
Yeah.
expressing it and like, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this and get it out there. And whatever feelings that you have, go ahead, let that out. And it's more so, it's like, oh, you good, bro? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm good. All right, good.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's something that I think is moving progressively forward, but definitely we need more work at.
Yeah.
So I've noticed a lot of celebrities been speaking up as far as, you know, them dealing with depression or anxiety, and I think it's good that they're bringing it to a good light. But I do have, I mean, they always say, hey, get a therapist. But what I do know is in the black community, economically, that's kind of hard for us to get as a whole. So, I mean, what do you guys recommend for those individuals that can't afford or maybe don't have insurance? How does that work out? Because
I mean, that's something that's the therapists and psychiatrists that they kind of need to shoulder that. Kind of, you know, with the work that they do, kind of have some type of, you know, community service where they go somewhere and do like, you know, on Saturdays or whatever on a weeknight. You know, doing sessions at the community session or the community center or after school or wherever.
Right.
They can kind of provide that for the community who is in need. And I think that would be a viable solution to help kind of put some type of dent in, you know.
Right.
But yeah, that is an issue. That is definitely an issue.
I think that's a great point that you brought up. You know, like what about the people that can't afford therapy or the psychiatrists and things like that? And you know, there's, you know, depending on like the insurance, I mean, you can search for therapists. A lot of therapists nowadays are going self-pay and they're doing like sliding scales, and where like depending on your income is how much you be able, you know, depends on, well, that determines how much you'll pay for therapy and things like that. There are certain agencies out there that work that way. There's agencies out there that strictly work with like Medicaid and Medicare and things like that or whatever. So well, more so Medicaid. I don't know why I said Medicare, but so it's there's some options out there, but there's not a lot.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you do have to know how to seek those type of resources.
Right.
And sometimes I have to like check myself. I'm privileged in this way where I know how to get these resources.
Right,
You know what I'm saying? Like, and to some people I am the resource. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so like I'm privileged in having that knowledge, but you know, some people don't have that knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like just even thinking about some of the things that I dealt with growing up. You get what I'm saying? Like I could have easily been in a psych hospital.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I knew nothing about that stuff. Nowadays I know about it. So I know if something's going wrong with such and such, or even myself, I know, okay, maybe this is hospital bound type stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so it is, I think that's a great point. Just bringing up, you know, what about the individuals who don't know how to access these resources? I think that's real. Yeah.
So, in your opinion, should all black men at some point in their life talk to a therapist?
Yeah.
At some point.
Everybody, period.
Everybody, period.
Not just black men,
Okay.
but everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody should talk to a therapist at some point.
Okay.
Yeah.
And probably just pretty much throughout their whole life.
Okay.
At some, definitely. I think it would be helpful.
Okay. So, because I know it's kind of hard for a lot of black people just to open up to anybody. I think actually any human being to just sit down across from somebody and kind of open up, reveal your inner feelings or your emotions. Another subject or another question, the church. Why do we say, where did it come from to say pray it away? Do you guys know? Or why is that? Because I think it's kind of going away. It's still around a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of, it's going away just it's going away.
Yeah, it's not as prevalent. Like, it's not like back in the day when you was going to church with your grandmother and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, that is going away a little bit. I would agree with you, but you still have some individuals who are just like, if I just pray, then everything will be okay. You know what I'm saying? But even if you get down with the Bible, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it says, like, faith without works is dead.
That just came to my head.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, even if you pray, like, you need to do something. So if I'm praying about my depression, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or for me, I'll even be vulnerable in this in this setting. Like, I'm diagnosed with bipolar disorder. You get what I'm saying? So, like, I can sit here and pray to God all I want about, helping me manage the cycles or whatever. But if I'm not doing anything about it, if I'm not seeing a therapist, if I'm not seeing a doctor, like, then nothing's going to happen.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Right. So where that comes from, that's an interesting question. I'm not sure where it comes from. I have some ideas of where it came from, but I'm not sure.
You can share the idea if you have a.
I think it comes from. It's funny because me and him was having this conversation on the way here. I was asking him a question about Christianity and slavery or whatever. I think it would come from. From slavery, how we were introduced to Christianity and things like that. It comes from that. Just this whole idea of, like, prayed away, because Christianity was used to enslave, but I also think it gave people in slavery a sense of hope. Not all,
Right.
and. That's different. But it gave a sense of hope. So I think it comes from that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you think about how big Christianity was to slaves, like, that's how they in the church, how big it was to slaves during that time. That's how they learned how to read in certain cases. That's where they learned how to write. That's where they the one time that I don't even want to say you felt like you were free, because I'm pretty sure you still felt like you was a slave. But the one time where you didn't really have to worry about all the things that were going on in your life. It gave that sense of hope. So if you had, again, it goes back to that generational trauma. Like, this stuff is being passed down from generations to generations. So I think, in my opinion, that's where I think it could possibly have came from. You know what I'm saying? Especially because that's the introduction that we had to Christianity, if you think about it.
Yeah. I agree with all that. But also, like, I see, there's also been kind of like almost an exodus from the church.
Yeah, that's gonna be I'm gonna bring y'all back on for that too. But you keep going, brother, because.
But yeah, I mean, like, because the church, I mean, that's part of what the church does to you. Like, whether it be homosexuality or whatever, some type of mental illness, it's like you pray to God and don't talk about it. Again, with the don't talk, keep it in the family type of thing. And people are like, I can't, no. Like, this isn't what, church should be about. This isn't what religion should be about. It's supposed to be all-inclusive. You're supposed to be able to come as you are and get what you need from it. And, that's not necessarily what's going on. And so that people are going more on the line of, I'm spiritual. I have my own. I have my own relationship with God. I found my own relationship with God.
Right.
That works for me, as opposed to going through the church and going through the pastor. So, but yeah.
But even with that, like, I still feel like you have people who say that they're spiritual, that'll still have that relationship with God and talk to God, and then that's it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, then that's it. Like, they're not doing nothing else. And it's like,
that's actually gonna one of the topics in the future. Just the millennials in the black church, because I think we're the ones that, you guys are millennials, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We're the ones that kind of. We're going away from church, and I think it's because we've been in it so long. Just, it's more to it, but just being in church almost every day, and then just dealing with certain issues, as we just want freedom. I think a little bit. That's just one. We'll skip that because that's gonna be another topic. I'm gonna bring, I'm gonna bring y'all back for that one. So, what age? What's the youngest you guys have seen with someone that's been dealing with mental issues? What's the youngest?
4.
Wow.
They'll I've seen parents put their kids in for real young.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whether it be like they're not sure how to deal with what's going on, or just I don't know. But yeah, that's
Wow. 4 years old is young, man.
Yeah, talking about hearing voices, telling them to kill somebody, or just hearing voices at all. And I'm saying to kill somebody because I specifically remember just starting to work in the psych hospital. I remember like being like, you like, wow, like this kid is 4 years old and tried to, you hear voices that say kill his mom, and he like standing over her with a knife and stuff like that. Like, so yeah, you get that. You get, kids that young. I mean, that's not that, and that's extreme. That's not, you don't really see too many 4-year-olds hearing voices. You know what I'm saying? That usually comes later on in life. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, you'll see it sometimes though.
So have you guys ever? I mean, you shared that you deal with being bipolar. I mean, have you ever dealt with? I mean, how do you guys deal with it, if you don't mind me asking? If you guys don't mind sharing.
With me, I've never been diagnosed, but I'm pretty sure I have. I definitely have fits with depression.
Okay, yeah.
And so, I get in my moods where I seclude myself. Whatever I'm, going through, I self-sabotage. Don't want to. I feel like I'm a burden to other people, so I don't ask for help. And so, in that, I take my time to myself. I don't, call anybody. I don't talk. I just kind of go through the motions of, what I have to do for the most part. But other than that, I'm like to myself. But to get out of that, usually I try to. I mean, with me, it's the if I can get moving, like my physical body, in regards to like fitness and stuff, that definitely helps me personally. Is getting back on, because usually when I'm depressed, I'm not eating right either. Right. Like I'm going to the convenience store or whatever, just eating some some trash, or whatever. And so when I'm able to start working out again, when I'm able to start eating right again, that helps a lot for me personally.
For me, the combination of medication and therapy. But when I go through these different cycles or whatever, from depression to feeling regular to maybe being hypomanic to feeling regular and then to depression. When I go through those cycles, I kind of tend to stop taking my meds. Then that's when things start to get real wild for me or whatever. But other than that, when I'm at my best, it's medication and talking with a therapist. Okay, that's my best. And then having that support system around you. Like I keep a village around me. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't look at my friends as just like my friends. My friends are my family. You get what I'm saying? So like so when I have those little issues, like they're right there. Like, yo, what's going on? What can we do to help? Yada yada yada. You know what I'm saying? But that's all. That's me being in this field and me understanding what the lack of vulnerability can do to a person. You get what I'm saying? So like me being able to be vulnerable to my friends and my family like helps me. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it helps me be a better person. You know what I'm saying? Just like mentally I'm talking about.
So I mean, I think we all should have that circle that we should be able to go to. I think I have my circle. You guys have your circle. I mean, is there anything else, any type of suggestions that you would give anybody that's dealing with any type of mental illness and they've kind of diagnosed themselves maybe? What type of suggestions would you give them as far as just to get themselves help?
Don't diagnose yourself is the first thing I would say.
Okay, all right.
But, it's best not to just seek out help.
Okay.
Seek out some type of help.
Yeah.
Diagnose yourself, because you'll be on, thinking that you got the worst thing in the world.
Right, and it's not yet. What's that website? Would you go read?
I was just thinking about that.
psychologytoday.com?
No, not psychology. It's that medical site.
WebMD?
WebMD? Okay, I see a lot of...
My elbow hurt and then you got cancer.
Okay, exactly. So people don't self-diagnose yourself.
No, don't.
Yeah, don't do that.
No.
Is there a history in you guys' family, if you don't mind me asking, or?
I know I have a cousin that's been in and out of psychiatric hospitals and whatnot. I mean, I'm sure that my mom and dad have dealt with stuff, but but they come from that generation.
Yeah, mine too. Yeah.
Don't
Right.
talk about that.
Right.
So it's never been. I haven't brought it up, but it's never been something that they divulged to me. But from their what I can perceive now as an adult, it's definitely apparent that they dealt with something.
Yeah.
As either as children and as adults now. Yeah.
Okay.
In my family, same thing. Nobody's ever came out and said, "Hey, this is what I'm dealing with. This is what I was diagnosed with." I've never even seen people in my family go to the hospital or even heard of them even seeing a therapist.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that when it comes to my family, and at least in my perspective of it. And but I'm sure, like my mom, just like me, understanding like the DSM and for the most part, and so and. I know my mom has dealt with like depression and stuff like that. I think my dad is bipolar. I'm like almost for sure about that. I'm almost sure I'm diagnosing him. Like you know what I'm saying? But it's kind of crazy. When I really sit and think about it.
So I mean, you guys have friends that come talk to you that don't mind open up. Does your circle, has that changed? As far as any of your friends come and open up to you about any problems? Because I know that usually helps when you sit down and you talk to a friend. Has any of your friends done that? You don't have to say their names or anything like that, but I mean, we
do it to each other.
Yeah,
that's
sure. But I mean, I guess I've always had a type of affinity for the mind and the way people think, or why people do what they do. I've always kind of been into that, and it seems that. A lot of the time, the people who have come into my life have been, I guess, pretty much open and comfortable talking to me about stuff. And I mean, I'm not the biggest talker. Most people will tell me like you're quiet, you don't talk. Most people will tell me that, and definitely strangers do. But people that know me know that I talk. When I have something to say, I definitely talk. Right. And but I'm more so a listener. So
that might be it's a gift though. If people gravitate towards you and don't mind opening up to you. I think that's a beautiful thing because a lot of people don't. It's hard for some people to gravitate to somebody. So I think that's a beautiful thing that people do come to you and open up to you, and you're there to listen.
Right. And so like I do my best to definitely never judge. Just from what I've seen, it's always a no judgment zone. Me. Yeah. Always no judgment zone. So, whatever you tell me, I'm always going to, be like, this is what I think, this is what we can do, blah, 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 and go from there. But it's always, I don't ever want anybody to feel that they came to me about something, an issue, and like I looked at them wrong, did something crazy to where they can't, they just shut down. Right. That would be the worst thing to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had friends that come to me and talk to me about some of the things that they're going through, and which is pretty cool. It doesn't change the way I look at them or change the way I think about them. It doesn't change. If anything, the only thing that changes, I think our relationships go to a different level. You get what I'm saying? I think it goes to a different level because if you're able to, I feel if you're able to be vulnerable with another person, man, that means a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, like one of your friends is able to tell you some of the things that they're going through in life, and you like to me sometimes I get taken aback. I'm like, damn, like you feel comfortable telling me that. Like, that means a lot. Like, you know what I'm saying? But then you have some people that just hit you up because you're a therapist. You know what I'm saying? You really got that. Like some people are like, yo, you a therapist, right? Like, what you think about this or whatever? And I don't. But even that's cool with me. Sometimes that's cool with me too, because I give them my what I think about it, and that's about it. I don't go too deep with it with people that I don't know outside of like when I'm like not doing my bad. But outside of when I'm like not doing my thing or working or whatever. And I know that might sound crazy, but as therapists, we need time to, like he said, like debrief. We need that time to like compartmentalize that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I can't be on therapist mode all the time. Can you just imagine listening to somebody's problems all day, 24/7? It's difficult. It's difficult.
I know my pastor used to take a break, and my mom would be like, "Why is he taking a break?" And I knew, I was just like, I never said anything, but I was just like, I mean, he's a pastor almost 24/7. Like, at some point, no matter what you're doing in life, you do have to take a break. You do have to take a break. DeRay, Ozzy, y'all have anything like y'all that y'all have seen as far as in regards to like mental health in the community?
No, not really. Not from my part.
Every day.
Every day?
Yeah, because it's like everybody go to it, you see him. And I don't know. For me, it's like, I think people have a problem with looking at self. They're afraid to face themselves and their truths and their demons and stuff like that. And I think that's where it starts, like the man in the mirror. Because recently I was like looking at like I seen this article, what makes a person toxic. And like a toxic person does, like one thing that they do is they blame everything on everybody else and they don't pay attention to themselves. So I think that's where it comes from. And like basically what they said, the generational stuff. Because it's like you are what you eat. Literally, you can diet wise or what you watch, what you listen to. So that's what I say, like your mind like a sponge. Like a sponge just soaks up water. Your mind soaks up your environment. You will like, some people say I'm a product of my environment type things. So like in the household, it could trickle down from that. Your father not there. You grow up like because I was looking at, I was like, it's not. I don't feel like it's a coincidence that most of us grow up in single parent house homes. You don't see your father there, so you don't know how you're supposed to love a woman or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's like you don't see those things, so it's hard for us to adjust and give that away to somebody else. So that's why I say I think a lot of it comes with like self-reflection, knowing who you are, getting to know yourself, because it's like, and that goes about just like how, for me personally, I can't move forward with something if I don't know myself or how I feel. Because I can't say anything about the next person if, that's basically it.
I mean, you beat it right on the head right there. I think that's almost, I think, the question of life, or almost the meaning of life is knowing yourself, finding that inner self to where, you're able to connect, but also detach at the same time. You're able to have those connections with people, but also able to let things go. There's some type of balance in knowing yourself to where you know where you came from, you know where you're going, but you're right here in that moment. And there are a lot of us that either we're stuck in the past or we're stuck in the future, and that moment gets lost to us, and that's where where peace is. And as in our community, that's like a lot of us, we're always chasing that dollar. Where we when we gonna eat again? When we gonna get that next dollar or whatever? And so that's our always focusing. And we're not thinking about what's going on right now, or we're thinking about what happened to Pookie and them, or whatever it is. Like, we're thinking about the past, and so we're stuck, and we're stuck, being complacent. It's like, oh, this is how it's always been. This is how it's always worked. So I'm afraid of doing anything different to move forward. So it's knowing yourself, being able to find that peace, that balance is essential.
And then I think like another part of it too, I was thinking about like a lot of people, it's trust too. Whether you talking to a therapist or whether it's just, I think me going through depression myself is just like having a conversation with somebody, letting it out. I think that's a part of it, but we look and see, well, hey, you haven't been through that, so how can I take your advice on something you haven't been through, etc.
See, the thing with therapy is that the one thing that they teach you is to never give advice. We never give advice.
Oh,
you
wow.
know what I'm saying? Well, I'm not gonna say we never,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
but the goal is to never to give advice. The goal is to help you think about things in a different way, or see things from a different perspective, from an unbiased perspective, or to just even walk with you down that journey or down what you're going through. Say a little tidbit there, say a little tidbit here, and there you have it. Like, just thinking about like one of the theories, the theory that I practice from is called cognitive behavior therapy, right? It's all about how your thoughts influence your
Say it
feelings.
again? My bad.
Cognitive behavior therapy.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And it's all about how your thoughts influences your feelings, and how your feelings influences your behavior, and how that sometimes that behavior can just reinforce that initial thought that you already had. You get what I'm saying? And so if you could like say somebody's dealing with depression, and if you could you could bring them to that what do you call it? That theory. And you can kind of you break that theory down, and they start to understand that, and they realize, okay, I have a lot of irrational or negative type thoughts. I can change that. I have the power to change that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like they say, how they say happiness is a choice. I have the power to change that, to change my thought. If my thought is negative, I'm going to feel negative, and I'm going to behave in a way that's connected to that thought. And it reinforces that thought. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you could break that down to somebody and help them understand that, and help them, and even just tell them that, just tell them like, you have the power to change your thought. There's like thought logs out there that we use, like in work. It's a worksheet. We call it a thought log, and it says like, on it'll be like the automatic thought, which your automatic thought is like a situation happens. Say I flipped his hat on the ground. His automatic thought is, man, that guy's an asshole. Why did he do that? That's his automatic thought. Right. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So like when something happens, a triggering event happens, you have that automatic thought or whatever. So if you can I forgot what I was about to say.
You good. I mean, you was in a good place. You was flowing with it, man.
I was, but if you can like help individuals we have the thought logs. That's where I was at. We have the thought logs. If you get individuals to see how they have those negative thoughts, visually see how they have those negative thoughts, and actively work on changing or restructuring those thoughts into positives, then you can actually see a shift in behavior and a shift in how you feel. You get what I'm saying? But I agree with you. It's all about that trust. You got to be able to trust somebody. And the number one thing that makes therapy successful is building rapport. That's the number one thing. If I don't do anything else with a client, I'm trying to build that rapport with them so that they can trust me, so that they can tell me the things that they're going through, so that we can actually do some work. You get what I'm saying? Like that's the goal of it. That's the goal of it. You know what I'm saying? So you have to build that rapport, and you do have to have that trust, because if I'm working with a therapist that I don't really trust, I'm not going to really tell them nothing.
Right.
And thinking about one of the things you just said about not giving advice. If you think about like your best teacher, someone who you stick out to you as being the best teacher that you've ever had, they didn't really tell you what to do. It was kind of like a leading thing. It's like gave you the options, gave you the possibilities, and let you choose for yourself.
Right.
But kind of gave you the outlook of like, if you do this, then maybe this will happen. If you do that, maybe this will happen. So what do you think, which way you think you should go? And pretty much giving you the keys to the car, teaching you how to drive, giving you the keys to the drive, not actually taking the wheel and be like, oh, we're going this way. That kind of thing. So
exactly.
Definitely it's more of a guided type of thing as opposed to giving advice.
So today there was another mass shooting.
Yeah.
You guys see it?
I didn't read into it, but I saw it.
And I think mental health does play a part into it. I mean, it plays a huge part, a large part. I mean, why is this occurring? From as far as with the mass shootings, is it a large part due to mental health, or is it?
It depends on how you look at it.
Okay.
It depends on how you look at it. You can look at it from a perspective of the media is trying to tag mental health on it to justify it.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
Because if you look at, I don't know. So I just heard about the shooting as well because I play Madden. So I'm like, damn, that's crazy. Like I could have very well been at that thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you know, so I don't know the race of the individual who stuck.
It was a white male.
It was a white male.
Yeah.
Well, Caucasian male.
I know where you're going. I know where you want to go, and I don't want to go there, but I do. But because the media is going to play, they are going to put mental health on it.
But mental health could very well be the issue, though. The thing is, like mental health can very well be the issue, right? I guess where I can go with it, or what I was thinking is that I don't like when we use mental health for this person, but then use this is just how they are for that person. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's where so mental health could definitely be could be a part of that. You know what I'm saying? Like when you think about why are we having all these mass shootings? Like what's going on in a person's mind where they're like, you know what, I'm about to go shoot over hundreds of people. I'm going to try to attempt to kill over hundreds of people, or whatever the case may be, or whatever. But you know, like I said, it can very well be mental health. But
I mean, I know one side we got the angry white male, and I mean, then the other side you have mental health. I mean, I think both of them play a real huge part.
Yeah.
Into it. What do you think?
Part of me definitely. I mean, it's. Part of me is like, yes, it can be mental health issues and whatnot. But then another part of me is like, it's definitely a pattern. For it to be, you know, basically every mass shooting that we see is middle-aged white Caucasian man. Like, it's either something in them, or it may even going as far as like, I don't want it, like even the government setting some stuff up.
Yeah.
I'll play devil's advocate on that. Didn't say the unpopular opinion. I'm not gonna say it's necessarily mental. I think it's intention sometimes. Because I was like, there can be like a coincidence.
There's some type of agenda.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're angry. I mean, what are you?
Well, not even. I don't think it's on the individual level. I think it's
mass.
I think it's like, you know, the chess player moving pawns around. It's not. You know, it's not just this individual decided, oh, I'm going to do this today. It's like there were seeds sown
somewhere.
To get this done at this time, because we need this thing to get in motion on a global or on a, you know, nationwide scale. And so, you know, I don't think causing someone to have a mental health issue isn't so far-fetched to me.
That's interesting.
But I mean, that's going real deep down the road.
Yeah.
But even with the mental health thing, like I don't like. I think it furthers the stigma when every time you have a mass shooting, then it's like, oh, well, they have mental health issues. Then it's like, okay, well, everybody who has a mental health issue
is prone to
shooting some people up. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's other factors. Like I said, like mental health could possibly be an issue or whatever. I also think it's some other factors when you talk about, you know, different races and things like that or whatever. But it's just wild when you really sit and think about it. You really sit and think about, you know, how can somebody go into a place and just?
And then with kids too. I mean, these are. I mean, every mass shooting is horrible, but I mean with kids. Yeah, these are kids like just sitting there playing video games, enjoying, you know, themselves. And you just go in there, and you just
shoot it up.
Yeah, you just want to take a life.
I gotta ask a question because I didn't watch it. I didn't see it. What was the repercussions behind? What did they do to the guy?
He killed himself.
Good question.
Yeah, I mean, he killed himself. I mean, usually, we seen what usually happen. They usually just get arrested.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, he killed himself, which I'm not surprised.
I mean, that's I think, you know, a lot of that's the issue too with the whole videotaping stuff. Like Childish Gambino in his video, he kind of touched on it. It's like the the cell phone is a tool. And
Yeah.
like it being, sorry, I tap. But like us being ready, available to see all of this now, that's traumatizing in itself.
Exactly. I was just gonna go there after you finish. Yo.
That's traumatizing in itself to where it's like we seeing, like we basically, you know, the same way that you could be in the service, military, and see your mans get killed right next to you. Like we seeing this right now.
Yeah.
We're not even trained for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw the video of, and I don't know why I keep watching these videos. I don't know why every time it comes across my timeline on Twitter, I watch it.
Right.
I in a sense, I'm kind of numb.
Yeah.
But I seen the guy, the laser pointing on the young black kid, and then the video went off, and you hear the gunshots. I don't know why I keep watching, but I'm numb to it. Like I'm kind of desensitized to it now.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. Like,
The whole idea about
It's still traumatizing.
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
it's you know what I'm saying? Like it's still traumatizing. I think that whole desensitization of it comes from the trauma.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
defense mechanism.
yeah, I can't watch those videos no more.
Yeah.
I can't, especially when it comes to like police brutality and things like that. I can't watch that shit no more, man. I can't, because I work myself up so much watching that stuff. You get what I'm saying? And like, and again, it just goes back to like now we're re-traumatized. We're just furthering that generational trauma because what. Just think about our relationship with cops, and we can correlate that to overseers and slaves, right? Cops and whatever, you know what I'm saying? But you know, we could correlate it to that, but continuously watching that stuff over and over again, like, you know, we continue to be traumatized, and then we teach our children not to trust them. You know what I'm saying? Which rightfully so. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're out here killing people, killing black people specifically.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So rightfully so. But that just goes to show you, that's just like an example of that generational trauma, how it's just passed down. It's just passed down, passed down, passed down.
There's an experiment that I saw. You probably saw this too. I mean, it's been on social media about, you know, these about 5 monkeys. They put 5 monkeys in a cage.
Oh yeah, I seen that.
So,
Yeah.
so like they have the 5 monkeys in a cage, and they put, you know, some bananas on top of a ladder. But every time one of the monkeys goes up to get the banana, they douse everybody else with cold water. And so when the other monkey comes down, they beat that monkey up.
Yeah.
And so once they take one monkey out who is doused with water and put a new monkey in, the new monkey doesn't know what's going on. So he's like, oh, there's some bananas.
Right.
Go get them. But before he does, everybody else beats him up.
Yeah.
And so they systematically take, you know, each monkey out. So there's a new one. And so they're basically doing it to themselves,
That's crazy,
which they don't need to.
That's crazy.
Damn.
They weren't, that's that generational things. Like they start beating each other up before, and nobody's even getting doused with water. They just think that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So they don't even do it.
Kind of reminds me of like the projects.
I was just about to.
I was just gonna say that.
Go
It's
ahead.
all a scientific project, man. Like when you just think about, if you even go down in the history of how, like, even if you ever heard of redlining, you ever heard of redlining, or like the zoning process or whatever, like what the housing administration was doing, or I don't, it might not be called the housing administration, but the people that handle like the mortgages and stuff like that, what they were doing was when black people were coming into banks to buy mortgages in different areas, they would have like, they call it redlining because it'd be like red lines, so they wouldn't give them mortgages in certain areas.
Wow.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like the white people neighborhood, they wouldn't give it. They would only give them mortgages in like black people neighborhoods or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like they, like the government. I'm not on no conspiracy theorist stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like the government, pretty much like just kind of like with that experiment. When you think about projects, they place us on top of each other.
Yeah.
And we know with poverty comes mental health.
Yep.
We know with poverty comes violence. We know with poverty comes like all this different stuff.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not like black people are prone to violence as some people like to think.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? This stuff has been brought upon us. You get what I'm saying? So it's kind of crazy.
You don't. We're always compared to that saying, crabs in a barrel, right? Crab tries to climb out, another crab pulls him down. But that's not a crab's natural habitat. If the crab was in the ocean, it wouldn't act like that.
Right. Yeah.
That's real. Yeah.
Yeah. That's Man, I don't want to end. I want to end. I want to go somewhere else. Yeah, y'all cool with that?
Yeah, I'm cool
Y'all
with
cool
it.
with that?
I'm cool with it.
Where you got something you want?
No, I was just thinking, got in my thoughts. I was, I don't want to, just speaking and not be the right stuff. I'm not. I let it. There's no limits.
You
Same thing. I'm soaking it all in.
Processing, I feel you. It's a lot.
So I mean, like I said, it's a good thing. I think that the celebrities are right now the first line. I think as far as in addressing mental health.
Yeah.
They've been really outspoken.
Yeah.
No, what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Not to cut you off.
No, you good.
Like I think a part of it that plays it on that people don't really pay attention to is like social media.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's really used as you're supposed to be used as a tool, but I don't think not everybody uses that tool. So you get so many perspectives, opinion, and energy through social media. And like you said, like the desensitizing thing, it's out there so much where you sort of become numb to it. You see it, and it's just like, sometimes you brush off, it happened again.
Yeah.
Oh, it just happened again. But I think social media, because you have, how can I put it? You sort of get away with so people can say stuff without getting that backlash from it a little bit. So like you can be random people, and you can say something, you get backlash because it's through a computer screen. And I think it's sort of take away as well, it's sort of take away human to human interaction.
Yeah.
So it's like the connection, the communications are not there. So like I was saying in like a previous conversation, talking, the way we talk now is different. I don't want to talk on the phone like that. I'd rather text you.
Yeah, that's me all the way.
So that's what I mean. Like social media play a part in it too, because it's like you got the world in your hands now. It's magnified. You get different cultures, different backgrounds, different opinions, different perspectives on life and stuff like that.
Right.
And that's like, not to say it came too early, because I think everything come at the right time, but I don't think people use it in the right ways. Because like I said before, like your mind is a sponge. You soaking up everything that you come in contact with. So that's all I want to say is social media.
So what are some signs of if I see somebody, right? If I have a family member, what are some signs that I see somebody that's dealing maybe with some type of mental illness?
Irritability, lack of sleep or oversleeping, seclusion, isolation, overeating, not eating. You know what I'm saying? And I'm really just thinking about like depression mostly, because that's what you'll be able to recognize.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's just them, doing, if they haven't been dealing with it all their life, it's a change from their normal daily activity.
Okay.
If you on an extended, like 2, 3, 4 weeks, they're, they like, this ain't you. I mean, a day or two, like things happen.
Right.
Things happen to everybody, so like that's not that big a deal. Somebody, you got a boot, so you was mad for the whole day or something like that.
Yeah.
But if something is going on to where their daily, routine changes for 3, 4 weeks, months on end, then that's something that you should be concerned about.
Okay. Okay.
Like people who may be suicidal, they may be, kind of like, they may start giving you stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I've seen it in the military. We didn't. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes, but you notice it later.
Right.
Yeah.
After they passed already. It's too late. So.
Yeah.
What were you finishing?
I was just saying, like, off like personal experience, like for me, noticing I was going through depression by myself. It's like I distance myself from people. Like I don't really want to talk. The way I dress, like as you start to dress darker clothes, I don't really I don't care how I look at the point. I was like, they can judge me all they want to. I don't care how I look. I don't care what I dress. Like definitely what I eat. And I notice what I eat play a part into it as well. Like if I eat junk food. I probably smoke Black and Milds, etc., etc. They like all play a part. And it's like I probably go off. I don't want to talk no more. I don't want to interact with other people like that. Especially if it's like something I don't want to talk about. So I'm already not talking, so I don't want to talk anymore. So it's like I'm push everybody to the side, and it's like distance myself from like feelings and emotions. But then like a way that I come back from it, I just like I said, it's like starts at like self, coming to self. It's like, well, like what he was saying off like emotion and stuff like that. Like I'm not going to choose to let my emotions control me. I'm going to control my emotions. Like if I don't want to feel this way, I'm not going to feel this way. Speaking to like the power over there, like, hey, I don't want to be mad right now. I'm not going to be mad. I'm not going to let this get me mad. Let this do this, do this, do this. And it's like working your way up for me, what helped is like, I'm not going to bring it all out at once. So I'm like, probably I'll spark some of the conversation here. I'll bring out some of it here. I'll bring out some of it here. But it helped a little bit. Just like speak in the conversation. And like one of the things is like being social, talking to people. It's like sometimes like now it's getting to the point where, hey, I think I might want to talk to this person. I might want to say something. It's like, no, I think I don't want to talk. But it just come out like randomly. So it got to a point and say, it's like a 4-year thing, 3, 4, 5 year thing. So it's like, it's slowly. And I don't think it's something that people should try to like, when you get into it, like depression, well, for me at least, like you want to rush out of it sometimes because it's like change you're not used to, especially for me. Like it started at a time one of my best friends died, and then I was smoking and going through other stuff. So I had lost my tolerance while on top of going through the other stuff. So I don't really want to smoke no more because paranoia, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like, and then I try to see what triggers certain behavior, certain stuff like that. So it's, then just self a lot.
Yeah. But like I was saying, it's just, you see it now as far as the celebrities, they're stepping up. And they're opening up now. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a start. And, you know, them being open, saying, hey, I go to this therapist. Charlamagne the God says it every interview. He said, yeah, I just talked to my therapist on Thursday.
Yeah.
Whatever. Jay-Z just, when he dropped the 444 album, he did an interview. He talked about it.
Yeah.
Kanye West has been vocal about it. I didn't mean to laugh at you, Kanye. But you know, Chris Brown has been vocal about it. And like I said, I think that's a good thing. It's starting off because a lot of people, that's who we see first, honestly. We see celebrities first.
Right.
And, you know, that's where a lot of people get their energy from.
Yeah.
You know, if a celebrity's doing it, they're probably going to, want to do it. So I think that's a good thing. I don't know where to go. I think we're going to end so we can go to hip hop.
All right.
Actually, I do want to bring y'all back, man. I do want to bring y'all back. I do have a couple topics.
Okay.
If y'all want to bring anybody, open, we'll probably go do another scenery. Because I like this scenery, but I want to do something else too. I have a plethora of topics.
Okay, cool.
that I want to get out, and I appreciate y'all doing this, man. This is something, you know, I think we do need to have a conversation, and then after conversation, it leads to solutions.
Yeah.
And I think this is the beginning. I see a change coming into the black community. And I think it's beautiful, man. So I appreciate y'all coming through. And say y'all names one more time so we can put it. Everybody can follow y'all on Instagram, Snapchat. If y'all don't mind. Wait,
that's cool.
Y'all private?
Mine is private, but you can still follow me though. Mine is private, but you can still follow me.
Because you know a lot of people, you know, they don't want to put that their Instagram.
Nah, I'm cool with it. I got 2 pages. I got a like a mental health awareness page, and I got a regular just personal Instagram.
Okay,
so.
if you don't mind saying that, if you don't mind saying the mental health page first.
Let me remember it.
While he's searching, you can go ahead, bro.
Yeah, my name's Kyle Waters. My Instagram page is Malcolm the 13th, MALQOLM_THEXIII.
Okay.
Malcolm the 13th.
All right, so my mental health page is j.washington.hope.
Okay.
So, yeah. And then my personal, Free Thought, spelled just like how it sounds, Free Thought 16. So,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Like I said, I appreciate y'all coming through, man, and hey, we looking forward to talking to y'all a little bit more.
Word.
Yeah. Man, that was good. I was trying to go somewhere else. I was trying to think of something.